They say your first breath is a miracle. Mine was almost my last. I was found in a filthy public toilet behind the old motor park, barely a few hours old. Wrapped in blood-stained cloth, silent, freezing. My mother, Amarachi, had vanished, drunk, broken, and angry. Some say she is an alcoholic. Others say she just forgot. But how does a woman forget her own baby? The woman who found me still tells the story. She heard a whimper, like a kitten crying. The moon that night was hiding, and the air smelled like death. When they forced the rusted door open, there I was, abandoned like a thing, not a child. That woman, Mrs. Grace Ameta, carried me to safety. She says God told her, this one must live. My mother, Amarachi, didn't come looking. Not that night. Not the next. They brought her in later, smelling of beer, eyes swollen with tears that didn't belong to me. That was how my story began. But if you think this is just about neglect, you don't know the kind of darkness jealousy can give birth. This is not just a story. It's a confession. And I asked what makes a mother abandon her own child. I didn't grow up with lullabies or warm baths. I grew up with slammed doors, cold floors, and the bitterness of a woman who never looked at me without disgust. My name is Jessica. And from the moment I opened my eyes, my mother Amarachi made sure I knew she didn't want me. She would say it without blinking, I tried to remove you 3 times, but even the womb couldn't kill you. That was her bedtime story for me. People whispered that Amarachi was once gentle. But when my father disappeared, leaving her pregnant and broke, something inside her shattered. She tried to drink away the shame. But the shame stayed, and so did I. Sometimes she'd vanish for days. I remember being locked inside a small room, alone, hungry, crying for hours while the sound of street vendors echoed through the window. Other children had toys and birthdays. I had silence and survival. The only time Amarachi softened was when her rich friend Ngozika visited from the city. Amarachi would suddenly smile, pretending to be someone else. Ngozika had a calmness that made our chaos feel louder. And me. I reminded Amarachi of all she had lost. She didn't want me. Not then. Not ever. What happens to a child unloved by her own mother? Ngozika was like a light walking into our darkness. She didn't visit often, but when she did, everything changed. Amarachi would clean, cook, even fix her hair. I barely recognized her on those days. Ngozika was beautiful in a quiet way. Her clothes were always neat, her perfume soft and sweet. She drove a shiny car that made people stare. Even I stared. I was 7 the first time she gave me a doll. I'd never owned one before. I didn't even know what to do with it. Her name is Gina, Ngozika smiled, kneeling beside me. Jesus. That doll became my secret friend, my listener in the long, dark nights. Amarachi hated it. She said I didn't deserve nice things. That woman spoils you too much, she'd mutter, eyes dark with something I couldn't name. I began to notice the way Amarachi watched Ngozika, like someone staring at a reflection they hated. They were childhood friends, yes, but life had given one gold and the other dust. And the more kindness Ngozika showed me, the colder my mother became. At that age, I didn't understand why. I just knew love was dangerous. Can a mother's envy poison even the love she has for her own child? Chidinma was Ngozika's daughter, soft-spoken, always smiling, always dressed like a princess. When she turned 10, Ngozika threw her a party that the whole street still talks about. There were balloons, a magician, and a cake taller than me. I wasn't invited. But since it was in front of our compound, I watched from our dusty window. Chidinma wore a pink dress with glittering shoes. When she laughed, it echoed. And for a moment, I closed my eyes and imagined it was me out there, blowing candles, being hugged. But Amarachi saw me staring. "You better wipe that look off your face," she snapped. "You'll never be like her." Later that night, Ngozika knocked on our door with a small parcel. "A little something for Jessica," she smiled. Inside was a slice of cake and a plastic tiara. I held that like it was a crown made of stars. But Amarachi snatched it from my hands and flung it out the window. "You think you're a princess now?" she screamed. "Ungrateful thing." That was the first night she slapped me hard enough to make my ear ring. Chidinma had a birthday. I got a bruise. What do you do when your own mother sees your joy as an insult? I was 8 the day Amarachi forgot me at the market. We went to sell roasted groundnuts and boiled corn. She drank while selling, laughing loudly with men who smelled like sweat and smoke. I stayed quiet beside the basket, watching the coins pile in. Evening fell. The traders packed up. The noise faded. The lamps flickered on. But Amarachi didn't come back. I waited for hours, legs numb, stomach growling. Finally, a kind woman, Mrs. Bisola Coker Benson, found me curled up under a table. She wrapped me in her wrapper and walked me home. Our door was wide open. Inside, Amarachi was snoring on the floor, bottle in hand, curses on her breath. When she woke up and saw me, she didn't ask if I was okay. She slapped me. "Why did you let people bring you home like a beggar?" she hissed. That night, I slept outside on the veranda, hugging my knees. I wished I could vanish. Ngozika came by the next morning and found me there. Her eyes held questions, but she didn't ask. She just hugged me. That hug felt like water on dry ground. Amarachi watched from the window, eyes burning. How many times can a child be forgotten before she forgets how to feel? It was a Sunday afternoon. Hot. Quiet. The kind of day when the sky feels too heavy to breathe under. Amarachi had gone out the night before and hadn't returned. I was 9. Alone. Hungry. Covered in sweat. I tried to clean the house, but the water had run out. The toilet stank. My stomach ached. I must have dozed off, dizzy from hunger. When I woke up, I'd vomited on myself. I don't remember much, just the spinning room and the flies. That's how Ngozika found me. She had come with a bag of groceries and a new dress. She opened the door and screamed. "Jessica," she shouted, dropping everything. She rushed to me, lifted me into her arms like I was a baby again. She ran water in a bucket, stripped my clothes, and bathed me gently. Her hands were soft. Her tears mixed with the soap. "Where is your mother?" she asked. I didn't answer. I couldn't. When Amarachi finally stumbled home, she found Ngozika scrubbing our floor. Her eyes narrowed. No thank you. No shame. Just that familiar glare. She lit a cigarette and said, "So now you're raising my child too." That moment changed something. Can kindness survive in a house where love has gone missing? That evening, after Ngozika left, Amarachi stared at me with eyes I still see in my dreams. She didn't speak for a long time. Just sat on the edge of the bed, smoking, her fingers trembling. Then, without warning, she spat on the floor and said, "You are not a blessing. You are a curse." I froze. "You ruined my body. My life. My future. I should have let you die in that toilet." Her words were knives, sharp, slow, and deep. I wanted to scream. To run. But I just stood there, watching the ash fall from her cigarette like snow. She got up, grabbed my plate of food, and flung it out the window. Starve. That's what curses deserve. I went to bed that night with an empty stomach and a full heart, full of pain, questions, silence. Why did she hate me so much? Why did I survive? I looked at the crack in the ceiling and whispered to God, please let me be someone else. But morning came, and I was still Jessica. Still her daughter. Still the curse she never wanted. What happens when a child starts believing the lies spoken over her life? I was barely 13 when Amarachi told me to wear my only nice dress. The yellow one Ngozika had given me 2 Christmases ago. It didn't fit anymore, tight at the chest, short at the knees, but she said I looked just right. She rubbed powder on my face and told me to smile. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was taking me somewhere special. We walked to a small buka at the edge of town. A man was waiting there, grey beard, heavy gold rings, and eyes that made my skin crawl. This is her, Amarachi said, forcing my hand into his. He grinned. She looks ripe. I pulled back, confused. Amarachi squeezed my arm hard. Be polite. He's a good man. He'll take care of you. That night, I learned what she meant. She was trying to marry me off, for money. He offered her 500,000 naira. A bride price for a child. When I refused, she beat me with her shoe. Said I was ungrateful. Said no one else would ever want me. I ran to Ngozika's gate that night, barefoot, shaking, bleeding. She opened the door, saw my face, and didn't ask a thing. She just held me. How do you forgive a mother who sees you as a transaction? The day I saw the scholarship poster was the first day I believed escape was possible. It was pinned outside the local community hall, full secondary abroad scholarship for gifted girls. My heart beat faster. I tore the paper down before anyone else could see it. That night, while Amarachi snored on the floor, I read the form under candlelight. Age limit, 16. I had 1 more year. Requirements, grades, essay, references. I had none of it. But I had hope. I started reading in secret. Every book I found, Ngozika's old novels, dusty newspapers, anything with words. I studied while washing clothes, cooking, and fetching water. My dreams grew louder than Amarachi's insults. Ngozika noticed. She saw the fire in my eyes and quietly helped. She gave me books, taught me how to write a proper letter. You must never tell your mother, she warned. Not yet. So I kept my mouth shut. Hide my dreams like buried treasure. When I finally sent in the application, my hands trembled. But for once, it wasn't fear. It was hope. I believed in something again. In a future far from this pain. Can secret dreams survive in a house built on silence and shame? It arrived on a Thursday afternoon. A white envelope with gold lettering, sealed with a crest I'd only seen in books. I held it like it could vanish. My fingers trembled as I opened it. The words blurred from the tears in my eyes. Congratulations, Jessica. You have been selected for the International Scholars Program. My heart exploded with joy. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I ran to Ngozika's shop, waving the letter like a victory flag. She screamed when she read it, hugging me tight, spinning me around. You did it, Jessica, she cried. You're leaving this place. For once, I saw my reflection and didn't hate it. I saw a girl who fought through storms and still stood. But I should have been careful. Amarachi found the letter that night. I don't know how. Maybe she searched my bag. Maybe she just knew I was too happy. She read it slowly, then looked at me with that familiar rage. You think you're better than me now, she spat. She picked up the letter, tore it in half, and threw it into the fire. I screamed. I begged. But she watched it burn. What happens when the person who gave you life tries to steal your future? The next morning, I thought it was a nightmare. Maybe the letter hadn't really burned. Maybe I had imagined her laughter as the flame swallowed my dream. But reality was colder than ashes. Ngozika stormed into our house just before noon. She had her phone in one hand, fury in her eyes. "You called the scholarship office," she said, staring Amarachi down. "You told them Jessica wasn't interested. That she was getting married." I froze. My ears rang. Amarachi crossed her arms. "She's my daughter. I decide what's best. Foreign people don't raise girls. They ruin them." Ngozika's voice broke. "Do you hear yourself? You just destroyed the one good thing that could have saved her." Amarachi shrugged. "Let her learn to live like the rest of us. Suffering is part of womanhood." I stood in the corner, trembling. My hands balled into fists. My mouth stayed shut. What was the use? My voice had no power here. Ngozika turned to me and said, "I won't let this end like this. I promise." But all I could feel was emptiness. Because for the second time in my life, someone had tried to erase me. How do you keep fighting when the enemy shares your blood? One evening, Ngozika asked me to sit with her in the garden, under the flickering streetlight. Her face was grave, and for the first time, she looked tired, like she carried a secret too heavy for her shoulders. "Jessica," she began softly, "there's something I've never told you." I looked at her, heart pounding. "Your mother, she tried to swap our babies at birth." The words hit me like thunder. My world wobbled, and I gripped the chair. "What?" I whispered. Ngozika nodded. "That night, when you were left in the toilet, your mother wanted to switch you with my daughter, Chidima. But I found out. I reversed it before anyone noticed. I wanted to scream. To cry. To ask why." Ngozika's eyes shimmered with tears. She thought if she gave me her baby, she'd take away the pain she felt, believed it would fix her broken life. Years of hate, abuse, neglect, all because of a lie built on jealousy. I looked at Ngozika and whispered, "So I've been her daughter all along." She hugged me tight. "Yes, Jessica. And I'm here for you now." How do you heal when the truth breaks your world apart? After Ngozika's confession, I saw Amarachi in a new light. Her anger wasn't just hate, it was guilt tangled with pain. But guilt can twist into poison if you don't release it. One evening, Amarachi sat by the fire, staring into the flames like she was searching for a lost part of herself. I stood nearby, heart pounding, unsure if I should speak or run. She finally looked at me, her eyes heavy with regret. "I was jealous," she whispered. "Jealous of Ngozika, jealous of you, jealous of the life I never had." She reached out, but I flinched. "How do you forgive years of pain wrapped in a mother's regrets?" "I tried to erase you because I hated the reminder of everything I lost," she confessed. The words stung, but they also freed something inside me. The truth hurt, but silence would have killed us both. Ngozika took my hand, her presence steady. "Healing will come, but it takes time." I looked at my mother and wondered if love could grow again where bitterness once ruled. Can broken hearts mend when the truth is finally spoken? Ngozika opened her doors and her heart to me, offering a home I had only dared to dream of. The moment I stepped into her house, I felt a strange mix of fear and relief, like stepping into sunlight after years in shadow. Her walls were clean and bright, filled with laughter and music. For the first time, I had my own room, a soft bed, books, and a window that looked out on blooming flowers. Ngozika never pressured me to forget. Instead, she reminded me that healing is a journey. "Take your time, Jessica," she said gently. "You are safe here." I went back to school with a fire inside me I hadn't felt in years. I studied harder than ever, fueled by hope and Ngozika's unwavering belief. But even in this new life, shadows followed. Memories of Amarachi's harsh words and cold hands haunted me. One night, I stood at my window, looking at the stars and whispered, "Can I ever be free of the past?" Ngozika joined me silently. Her hand found mine, steady and warm. Is it possible to rebuild yourself when the foundation has been broken? Months passed, and my scholarship seemed like a distant dream, bound, forgotten. But Ngozika never gave up. She petitioned the scholarship office, wrote letters, and spoke to anyone who would listen. One afternoon, a letter arrived. This time, it was real. The scholarship was reinstated. I held the paper like a lifeline. Tears blurred my vision as hope surged through me. Ngozika smiled, her eyes shining with pride. You earned this, Jessica. You belong in the world beyond these walls. I prepared to leave my old life behind, the abuse, the neglect, the lies. I packed my few belongings, clinging to the promise of a better future. But before I left, I stood at Amarachi's door one last time. She was there, thinner, her eyes haunted. No apologies. No explanations. Just silence. I whispered, I'm leaving. She nodded, a tear tracing her cheek. As I boarded the bus to the airport, my heart ached. I was free, yet a part of me was still chained to the past. Can freedom heal wounds that run deeper than skin? Stepping off the plane, I felt the weight of a new world pressing on my shoulders. The air smelled different, the sky seemed wider, and everything was unfamiliar, like a dream I wasn't sure I deserved. Ngozika's words echoed in my mind, this is your chance, Jessica. To be more than your past. School was hard. The accents, the customs, even the snow, all strange. I missed home, even the pain. But I pushed through, driven by a fire that refused to die. Letters from Ngozika kept me grounded, reminders of love I never thought I'd have. But my mother's shadow followed, haunting my doubts and fears. One night, I cried alone in my room, wondering if I could ever escape the scars Amarachi left. But then I remembered Ngozika's hug, her faith in me, and the promise of a better life. I wiped my tears, whispered, I am not my mother's mistake. I was finally free, free to heal, to dream, to become someone who loved herself. But freedom came with a price, facing the past and forgiving the woman who almost erased me. Can healing begin when you face the ghost of your past? Years have passed since I left home, yet some nights, the past still haunts me like a shadow I can't outrun. The scars Amarachi left, both seen and unseen, are reminders that healing is a journey, not a destination. I've built a new life filled with love and hope, surrounded by friends who cherish me for who I am. Yet sometimes, when the world feels too heavy, I feel the cold grip of fear and doubt creep back in. Forgiving Amarachi was the hardest part. Not because I forgot the pain, but because I realized holding on to bitterness only chained me tighter. I don't know if she's truly sorry. I don't know if she ever understood the depth of her cruelty. But I do know this, children should never suffer for the sins of adults. Life taught me that envy and bitterness destroy more than they build. But love, real love, can still bloom in broken places. I am no longer just a shadow of my mother's mistakes. I am my own light. What scars have you carried, and how did you learn to heal? This story reminds us that bitterness and envy can destroy families and break innocent hearts. True healing begins only when we face the truth and choose love over hate. Children should never bear the weight of adults' grudges or suffer for mistakes they didn't make. No matter how deep the scars, forgiveness and hope can light a path to freedom. What is your experience with healing from pain caused by those closest to you? Drop your thoughts and stories in the comments below, your voice matters. The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your support means everything to us.